All right, so what I'm going to talk about today is the massive mindset shift that can finally maybe make these goals and habits actually happen and achievable. And it comes from a book I finally got. I talked about this a couple of days ago. It's No Sweat by Michelle Segar. Already whipping through this book. I absolutely love some of the concepts here. And let me first mention that the reason I'm going into this, even though this is mostly about designing, got to get on a conference call, we'll catch the replay. Awesome, Jeremy. See you then. One of the reasons, even though this is about basically about fitness, she really actually is a researcher that found out I'm taking what she's learning into all areas of behavior modification and being able to create habits. So anyway, just take it as that as well, and that's what I'm thinking of it as. So as we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, basically the idea of creating and living an epic life comes from, I think, the goals that you're able to achieve. And we talked in the past about the fact that for me, even after 20 years of goal setting, I had about a 10% success rate on achieving my goals. Now, when I would achieve them, fantastic things would happen. Have a multi-million-dollar podcast and business. I have an amazing group of friends and relationship. Actually, Nikki's in the room. She's one massive thing that I consider as epic, my relationship with her. And so when it happens, it's huge and epic for me, but I want to make it happen more. So then what I found was one of the things that was making it so that I wasn't able to achieve my goals was I wasn't setting up habits that would make those goals actually happen. Thank you. So since then, I've been learning every single thing about habits. Betsy, for you and anybody that's new in the room, I just wanted to kind of go over it a little bit again. So now I'm digging even deeper into habits. We've talked about tiny habits. I'm going to be talking about identity-based habits. But right now I found something that I was really, really excited about, and I want to read it to you again from the book No Sweat. And again, so she is a motivation and behavioral sustainability scientist. So she's got the science and the research to back this stuff. Again, I've mentioned before, I don't want just somebody's general idea behind something. I want to see people that have actually studied this. I want to make it so goal setting and being able to achieve goals is a consistent every time thing. Like a machine, I want it to work every time, not 10% of the time, right? So anyway, here's one of the things that she said that's really, really exciting. If the underlying reason for the behavior feels like something we should do, which she calls the wrong way, it leads to a chore-based meaning. And as a result, it is more likely to make performing the behavior depleting and increases the chance that we will not have the desire or energy to stick with it. We are more likely to sustain a behavior like physical activity when we view it as a gift, something that's fun or personally meaningful. Supporting self-determination theory, this research suggests that our experience from doing any behavior is drastically influenced by the frame, basically how we think of it. Everybody sit on the floor cross-legged. Nice reading. All right, here we go. So it's the frame. The primary reason for doing it, our why. The why, in fact, is the foundation of the entire behavioral process. So even that right there, in Internet Business Mastery, we talk about finding your why first. We, in fact, created an entire course about finding your why before you design your business so that you don't end up in a business that you end up hating, which is one of the first businesses I did. I ended up working 12 hours a day, hating it, and making less than the job that I left. So of course, it seems obvious that you want to find the why before you create a behavior into a habit. Right? Like it's almost crazy that I didn't think of that, but that's the fun of reading so many books. So are you guys enjoying this? I got a couple more things. I want to try and make it a little bit faster. Are you scoping with your iPad already? Yeah, video looks great. Yes, iPad 2, iPad Air 2. Ooh, interesting. I was just doing a Udemy course on reframing. Okay, so then you kind of have a background on this. All right. Okay, so one more thing I want to say about that, and then I've got a question for you. So, our why, our primary reason for initiating any behavior, influences the subsequential reading. I actually read so fast, sometimes it's really hard to read out loud. Quality of the motivation we develop. Consider the why as the source of the fuel. So we want to make sure our why is the right why so that we've got the fuel to actually make these new behaviors that we want to create into habits. We want to have the right amount of fuel so it will actually happen, right? Like, and that was one of the things that I think I kind of glossed over and didn't care so much about habits when I saw people talking about them, or I went, oh, that's really interesting, because I basically just had the wrong whys, right? So here's my question for you. How many of you feel like the habits that you're trying to create have the wrong why? Like, and you just know it, and you can know by the fact that you're skipping it, you're not doing it consistently. Have you discovered your why through reading this? Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a second on two of the habits that I'm working on. Dan says yes, yes. The wrong why. The way behind on your scopes on vacation reading habits book though. Awesome. That's a great start. Yeah, I've got more stuff about the habit stuff. Need to redo my SMP. So an SMP is a single motivating purpose, and we talk about that in the Internet Business Mastery Academy and on the Internet Business Mastery podcast from time to time. And it's just that single motivating purpose that makes it so you wake up super excited to live. And I can't remember who it was. Somebody talked about tap dancing to work, that you want to wake up and be so excited about what you have to do today that your work becomes play. And this is what she's talking about. She's talking about turning the process, the why behind creating a behavior into a habit, into a gift. So that's what she said in the passage before. It's all about turning that into a gift instead of a chore. And that was a huge, huge idea and thing that I was thinking about. So I've got a little bit more. If you guys think anybody you know would be interested in hearing more about this, I'm going to recap it at the end. Definitely go down, click the little Perry icon, they call it, and share this with your people. And we'll try and get some more people in here. I've got more stuff. I find that I feel like I missed it. Sorry. SMP, Single Motivating Purpose. Incredible Value for Life, SMA. I've been doing the Miracle Morning, not directly about habits, but definitely improves them. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to dissect and figure out the exact way to do these habits or to do these behaviors so they become habits. Because I found that there's a lot of issues and problems with the way some people are teaching them, or they're just missing some things. SMP is what Hutch was talking about. That's awesome. So anybody sharing? Yeah, it's about developing a routine, so it's key to habits. Yes, routine is definitely part of it as well. And now the one step before that is making sure I have the right why. So I'll tell you a little bit more about this. So first of all, the key, SMP is a great POV. Love my work, feels like a hobby. Yeah, getting paid for your hobby, that's amazing. I love it. And that's what Internet Business Mastery has been for me, as well as what I'm going to be working on now, which is this Epic Life Quest and periscoping stuff. I'm trying to develop some of my other interests and habits also into business as well. So let's see. So again, number one is all about making it so that these behaviors we're trying to do are actually a gift to ourselves rather than a chore. Okay, so I'm going to read a next part here. I've got a little set of notes here that I'm trying to do so that I can make sure to get all the information. Okay, so here's the second part. Research shows that when you choose to make movement a regular part of your life for personally compelling reasons and choose to move in a way that feels good to you, you are most likely to stick with the exercise to maintain weight loss. So that is an interesting thing, because if you get the why right, and again, she's talking about movement and exercise and this kind of thing, but we can use this for all aspects of behavior. If we get the why right, then the likelihood that we're going to consistently do it is incredibly high. So I'll tell you exactly what I mean by this. So one of my keystone habits that I'm working on is basically physical health, whether it's both on the nutrition side and on the physical movement side. So this was helpful definitely for the physical movement. But so here's what I'm trying to do to make physical movement be a gift to myself rather than this extrinsic motivator of how I look or these outside things, how I look in clothes, what kind of clothes I want to wear, that I need to lose weight, just these outside ideas. And so here's what I've been working on to try and make it a gift. And one of the things she says is to try and find behaviors or actions behind these behaviors that you actually enjoy rather than doing it how somebody else says, whether they're an expert or not. So for instance, for me, when I think of all the different ways to exercise, whether it be swimming or weightlifting or playing soccer or basketball or whatever, all the different ways, or being on a treadmill or any of that kind of stuff, walk while listening to podcasts is Dan's. Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like we're really similar because mine is I absolutely love going on walks. I started looking at physical activity as wanting to spend more time with my family. Yeah, that's awesome. That's another part of mine as well. Because I found that the walking is far, far more enjoyable to me, whether it's walking while listening to a podcast or a book. That's one of the main number one things that I do. And by the way, thanks for all the hearts. I really appreciate it. Just lets me know if you're interested and you're liking what we're talking about. But so I found that I really like walking. Last night was able to walk. One of the other things is walk with family or friends. Like I was able to walk with Nikki, who's here. And we were able to talk about all these really cool, epic things. Suck at fitness for its own sake. Going to try something. I missed it. I noticed that if I do it with family, I engage in it more. Yeah, so last night, Nikki and I met and we walk around this really nice park where we can see this huge mountain here in Salt Lake City. Beautiful trees and everything there. And then we get to just talk about all the epic stuff that we're figuring out about our lives and just stuff we've read. And yeah, that was completely enjoyable rather than going, okay, I have to walk and I have to walk at a certain speed and I have to make this of value to my weight loss and my health. Instead, we just did it to go enjoy, thought of it as a gift. I love the idea of thinking of it as a gift. I did that this morning the same way. To think about the stuff that I read last night from this book, I went on a walk and I was just processing. What do I want to talk about today? What's really interesting to me today? And as I was thinking about it, I ended up walking far more than I would have had I thought I have to do 2 laps and then come back and go really super fast. And I have to hit the right amount of steps. I walked from 5:30 a.m. to 6:15 after reading Miracle Morning. Yeah, that's awesome. So how are some other ways that you guys could make one of the goals you happen to be working on more of a gift? Right? Like that's something, put it into the comments. I'd love to see, because I want to learn all the different ways that other people have figured out how to do this. One of the other ones, is I found that I actually really enjoy weightlifting afterwards. So afterwards, I get that endorphin rush from doing the weightlifting. But I'm going to try, I was going, oh man, I totally want to go today. If I think of it in terms of how can I make it so that it's a gift to myself, that I get to enjoy that feeling afterwards. Because I also go into the hot tub and the sauna afterwards. And I love that process, but I was turned off by the fact that I'm doing it to finally be physically fit, this outside thing, instead of going, today, how can I enjoy this process? Fitness through material or martial arts class equals new skill. Awesome. Yeah, if you enjoy it, the goal is how can I enjoy it today, right? I like the point aspect of health with the, it faded. Fitocracy? Fitocracy? God, they fade so fast. That's the downside. But the idea of being able to, how can I actually enjoy it today? I'm going today to do it for my personal enjoyment. what I get, it's a gift to me. So I've got a bunch of stuff to do. I go generally at 2 o'clock when I go to the gym, because I like it to be almost a ghost town. I like to be able to do everything exactly when I want. So I'm going to go at 2, and I'm going to think of it as this gift to myself. I get to go. And if I don't do 3 sets like I do when I'm trying to be fit, then I'll do what I would rather do, even just 1 set of everything that I do on Wednesday, rather than not doing it at all, which is normally what I do. If I go, I don't feel like doing 3 sets, I just don't go. But instead, if it's a gift, if this is a gift, like think of if you give a gift, you're going to treat it completely different than if you're like, it's a chore, I have to go do it. You're supposed to work, you're supposed to exercise 3 times a week, and I skipped Monday too. I want to do that. Instead, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to go give this to myself. So here's another thing that I'm going to do. So in September, I'm going to, I'm looking at, what do we think just waking up is a gift? Boom, step 1, right? Now give yourself tons of gifts, right? It's funny you say waking up is a gift, because one of the weird things that I like to process in my mind when I get up is, look, I'm choosing, I got to be alive. I'm alive. I woke up. That's a gift. And I'm choosing to stay alive. So why not make this an epic day? I've talked about that before. That's part of my process. Yeah, it's Christmas every day. How many gifts can I give in the form of getting these behaviors to be actual habits? Kettlebells, compact, quick, easy to do in short bursts next to the mirror. Awesome. Yeah, I've got a couple kettlebells. I've been doing the tiny habits where every time I check Facebook, I do 2 push-ups. Every time I check Twitter, I think I do 5 crunches. When I go pee, I actually go up and down my stairs a couple of times, at least 1 time, and then I do 1 more. Oh, squats anytime I check email, and I just do that right here. Maybe I'll find some other habit that I can add a tiny habit to with the kettlebells. Push-ups after peeing. There we go. The peeing push-up. All right. The other one. Okay, the other one is I'm trying to start writing more. And I wanted to look behind the why for doing that. And I love the idea of going, okay, well, instead of going, oh, well, it's going to help my business, and even it's going to help the people that I'm giving value to, taking that out of the equation, because sometimes that can be a chore. As much as I enjoy doing this value exchange stuff, in certain forms like writing, sometimes I think of it as a chore, and then I end up not doing it. So what I did instead is I wanted to make, let's see, yeah, we have a lot in common, especially in public restrooms by the sink. Yeah, the peeing push-up. Right, somebody actually asked me on Twitter how I'm doing those squats or those push-ups when I'm in public checking my social media. But number one, I don't really check my social media stuff in public because I'm checking it for business reasons. I almost do no personal stuff on social media, so I don't have to do that. But that would be funny. You're in line at the bank, you check Facebook, and you're like, excuse me guys, you get down, do your 2 push-ups. I would do that. I think that's cool. But anyway, so my why, thank you again for the hearts. Again, my why now for writing. So I'm starting with the tiny habit of writing 100 words every day, which ends up being like a paragraph or maybe even 2 sentences, is I want to make it about the enjoyment of expressing myself and experiencing one of the final steps of learning. And what I mean by that, obviously expressing myself, if I'm thinking of my writing as I'm expressing ideas, it's almost like part of a creative process, right? Like I get to express myself. So it's for sure a gift to be able to get the stuff in my head out and type it out. So that's one part of it. The second part is it's being able to write information out is one of the final stages of the learning process. So making actions inevitable by putting things and triggers in your path. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what the tiny habit stuff was about, for sure. This is an awesome approach. Thank you. And yeah, I'm really digging this. But anyway, the final stages of learning is after you read something, if you're able to write it down and even teach it right away, the amount of you're going to actually retains ends up being extremely high. Does that trigger a reward in you? Ooh, which thing are you talking about with the writing? Because I love the idea that the fact that you're even taking the behavior is also part of the reward, right? So with this one, actually being able to write it out when I'm complete with that, I can add some of the external rewards that we talked about with the tiny habits, like going, yes, yeah, I did it. You know, some people, put their hands in the air and pretend that they're getting applause, that kind of stuff. But for me, I want to design, I want to also design a reward, right? Like if it's a gift, then the actual act of doing the behavior is also the reward. Like that is awesome. That is absolutely epic. I haven't seen anybody else talking about it that way. So I want the actual act. So when I get down and do the push-up, I'm instead now of going, okay, there's 2 more closer to the goal of maybe being able to do 100 a day, kind of an arbitrary goal. I want to get down and go, this is awesome. I can even feel that my body is able to do more. And instead of doing 2, sometimes I'll do 5 right in a row. And then yesterday I got to 5 and went, I'm fine. And I went to 10. Now, even 2.5 weeks ago, doing 5 was a chore, just physically a chore. So now the fact that I can just whip out 10 when I've been doing push-ups a lot during the day is really exciting, and the reward in itself. BJ Fogg style. I'm awesome. Yeah, Hutch, that's awesome. But anyway, so there you go. I'm at a point in my physical fitness where that is the case. That's awesome. You're getting me pumped up for some push-ups. Awesome. Do it. Every time I finish a scope, get down and do 5. I want to write my writing to be consistent, by the way. Yeah, that's awesome. Again, find out what the why is for you. Mine, again, let me look at it right here. Oh yeah, is being able to express myself, and also being one of the final stages of learning. So as I'm writing it out, I go, oh my gosh, yeah, I do remember that. I do have that, and now I get to share it, right? Like this is really, really exciting. I'm using a typewriter. Really? Why? That's probably a fun thing. I have to have it all processed and searchable. That's, I can't do that. Homework, add a why behind each habit or goal. Yeah, funny you mentioned that. That is the case. So by the way, any questions, any comments on this before I do the recap? Franson motivational scoping. Yes. Yeah, I absolutely enjoy that a lot. I mean, again, this is the kind of stuff I talk about with my people, my friends in my life, and even my kids trying to do that. No distractions. All right. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I actually turn off Skype. I close everything except for my Word doc when I'm writing now, just because of that exactly. I tried to talk about it. Awesome. But I think gift and reward is better. Awesome. Yeah, I like having an external reward is very, very cool, but the idea of adding the reward into taking the action, man, that's epic, right? And again, I love figuring out and finding new things where I didn't know them before, right? That I haven't heard that concept anywhere else. And I've read a lot of books on behavior modification, habits, all that stuff. Let's see, no one else wants to hear about me talk about my habits, systems, or routine except for this scope. Oh, well, come in and do it. This is definitely the place. I want to live in a van down by the river. Hey, yeah, do it. I want to live in a van. Let's see. Did you read the one thing? Absolutely. Am I implementing it? Yep. I'll show you right here. It's funny you mentioned that. So here's my could list, which comes from the one thing. I take the top shoulds and put them on my success list. Sorry, I just missed the one that came on. And here's I actually took from the one thing exactly how to put stuff on my should list, which becomes the one thing right now. So then I have a top thing that I want to do in both personal and business, and then some secondary things. Sometimes this gets longer than I want, but I put the one thing at the very, very top. So yeah, the one thing was a book I read last month that I absolutely loved, along with The Power of Habits. Those are, and that's the whole key. To me, I talk about reading that 3 to 5 books a week. I want at least one of those books. I'm searching for that one book that I can really, really get down into and map out and implement as many things as possible. If I can get more than one main thing implemented, then it's a key. Now, like I've said before, any books that I would rate a 4 and a 5, I try and get something implemented in my life right away. I was saying that I think idea expression is a better perspective for writing than momentum. Yeah, absolutely. Again, she's saying in this book, we want to make it personal to ourselves. Yes, one of the outer things like people talk about, and we talk about in internet business, like you want to create value, like have a value exchange with your audience. But we have to even be able to do that, this feels like the step before. This is the step where we make it valuable for us before we can make it valuable out there. And then the exchange is when somebody finally pays us, or whatever it is, whether they give you hearts or they share or whatever that value exchange is, or comments, whatever it is. It seems like the first process, even in the business, knowing your own why before you create value for others. Yes, powerful insight. Yes, so that's what I was so excited about. I finally got this last night, and already about halfway through the book. I just got started last night and I had to keep going. But that was one of the main big insights. And I think tomorrow, and until I'm done getting the insights out to you guys, I'm going to keep doing this as my mornings. All right. All right, thanks again for the hearts. Okay, so I'm going to recap really quick here. Any other questions while... Oh, man. Mouth gets dry with this. Okay, so the recap. The key to making a behavior work is doing it the right way, which is finding that intrinsic why, right? The success of turning a behavior into a habit, which I just said, the success of turning a behavior into a habit is dependent on an intrinsic why. It has to be a why that you're enjoying for the moment, not even one that is for the future. Like, ooh, one day I will be fit. That feels like an intrinsic why, but it's the way to be consistent with it is having a daily, today, what is the intrinsic why of whatever the behavior is you're trying to turn into a habit, right? All right, guys. Oh, by the way, I do have a Facebook group now. If you want to come join the Facebook group, one of the things I just came up with because of doing show notes for podcasting, I came up with scope notes. There it is. I came up with scope notes, and I'm going to later today, I'm going to have a replay of this and put the scope notes into my Facebook group, which is Epic Life Quest. Plus anything I find during the day that kind of supplements videos or downloads or any of the kind of cool stuff I'm constantly finding, I'm going to add it to that Facebook group, Epic Life Quest. So there you go. Thank you guys